على طول.
Both superstars are giving us the lowdown there with the race director. Great to obviously have that insight as well, but a punishing moment certainly for Team Redline and Enzo Benito as we make our way into the final race of this, what can only be described as a thrilling Teams Championship fight. One final race to decide it all here at this stage, and of course Ewan at this very sensitive point in the championship with only mere fragments in between those looking to qualify. It is going to be so key to get a good qualifying.
Yeah, we've seen that all throughout Rennsport, really, and ESL R1. Qualifying is so important, even at Spa, where things are, you know, a little bit easier to overtake compared to maybe some of the others. Qualifying is still going to be very key. We're looking for those 2-minute 14.2s to see who can get themselves onto pole position. If you can find a 0.1 as well, that would certainly see you on pole position. But what scenery, what a backdrop we've got to play this last piece of the drama at here in the Teams Championship. It's been a really great day. 8 races, or 7 up to this point, 8 by the end. And yeah, can't wait for this final one now.
Yeah, it's going to be a real interesting one, of course. It couldn't be more appropriate. Formula One there this weekend as well. And we're bringing, of course, the final race to conclude what has been a stellar feature series of races. It has been absolutely brilliant, and of course plenty of names to look out for as well. Joshua Rogers back to his best as well, suffering off the back of a disappointing run after the Drivers' Championship came to an end yesterday. Looked like he was on the brink of winning it. It all fell apart at the Nürburgring though, didn't it? But back again with a race win and certainly a pole position as well at the Nürburgring. That is a tough place to go and do it. Do it where he lost it as well at the Drivers' Championship, but now he has a chance to help his team here at Spa. Yeah,
certainly. They won't need it anymore, indeed. They are already through, but this is just for bragging rights, I suppose. There's 1 point between them and RH Esports. Why not go out and win the day?
Bragging rights.
Exactly. Why not go out and win the day for Josh Rogers? And I really like the way that he's bounced back. As you said, I find his mentality very interesting, though. I haven't had a chance to speak to him personally, but I spoke to Dave Warren earlier on today, and he said Josh was kind of like, well, I couldn't have done anything about it. It was Jeffrey Rietveld fault, and so what could I have done about it? And I thought in my head, well, isn't that going to make him more annoyed? But he was like, well, I didn't do anything wrong, so what have I got to answer for? And fair enough on that attitude, to be fair, because I know that I wouldn't have been the same.
No, I think what we're got to give credit for in terms of Joshua Rogers is his ability to reset when things get tough. He comes back into this now in what is a pressure cooker scenario that they can relax just a little bit. They aren't part of this fight that is happening, obviously, in the midfield. Mercedes, AMG, Petronas Esports team on 77 points, just if in consideration of Yuri Toman's penalty that, of course, would have sent him to the tail end of the field in that previous race. Then, of course, you have Team Redline as well on 74, G2 Esports on 72. Mercedes, obviously, the Williams Esports team there on 69 points as well, just outside on the bubble of that top 6, currently sat in 7th place as well. Remember, you've got to be at 6 or above to get through into the finals tomorrow, and naturally that'll be on the Williams Esports mindset, and certainly Daniel Pastore, I bet he is sweating buckets right now. But going back to Team Redline, a team that were team champions, you know, since our spring season championship in Katowice, all the way through the online events leading up towards the Munich Major. They find themselves in a little bit of jeopardy here.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, if they were to go out, have we seen a bigger shock in ESL R1 in the history? I mean, I can't think of one. To see the team's champions get knocked out, it would be absolutely incomprehensible almost. So, yeah, not a situation that these drivers thought they'd be finding themselves in. You know, you'd think with Luke Bennett to start off with, you get yourself off to a good start, and he didn't have a bad day, but you know, it's not gone well here and there for them. Kevin Siggy especially had a couple of incidents during his 2 races. While he had the speed, those weren't converted into points, and it's found themselves in this position of jeopardy.
That confirms it too. The point system has been updated as well. So there you go. Mercedes indeed on 77, 74 for Team Redline as well. G2 Esports on 72. And there you can see Williams in 7th place, just outside the top 6 on 69 points. So there you have it, folks. This is the current running order that we have ahead of us. Now, going back to Redline again, what's Benito's penalty going to do to his mindset as the drivers now head into practice?
Well, yeah, the penalty points, yeah, let's not forget. I'm not sure it's going to do much for him today, because right now he's thinking literally, I need to get to Sunday at this point for Team Redline, and almost he'll be willing to do whatever it takes at this point to get them through. And that's and if he gets more penalty points, if he you know, if he's really pushing the boundary with that, you know, that's tomorrow's me to deal with that kind of thing. Today, I've just got to get Team Redline into the final race, so I don't think that will affect his mindset too much, but tomorrow he will have to worry about that.
Yeah, well, certainly as you can hear from the sound and certainly the graphics in behind. Practice now fully underway as we see Sebastian Job, who gets himself set to tackle this circuit here at Spa-Francorchamps. We haven't spoken really too much about G2, who are right in the mix of this. In fact, they're probably the one team right on the cusp of elimination, but they have got an experienced pair of hands behind the wheel to certainly take them through. Daniel Pashtor, who will, of course, be trying to fight his way to try and lift himself into the top 6, and his team. I get the feeling, despite that, of course, of qualifying being so imperative, we go back to the actions out on track. We have, of course, got a very active stewarding team on board as well. There is going to be a lot of moments here at this circuit, and at Spa, if you risk it, rewards come very far and few between sometimes. We've seen it in the past. Yeah, and there's a high deal of risk with it as well, so we're going to see a very, very interesting race, but with roughly nearly a half, 5 out of the 12 teams still yet to confirm their place, whether they're in or out for the finals tomorrow. There will be risk being taken, and there is big reward for it as well. Let's not forget, even if you completely have a disaster tomorrow, if you make it, you've won $20,000 anyway. So, you know, in that respect, everybody is going to be so willing and want to make it so badly. But on the point of G2 Esports, they've been so consistent today. Yoni Tumala and Isaac Price both scored a similar amount of points. It was 20 for Price and 23 for Tumala. That's right on the average of sort of where you need to be. Fredrik Rasmussen, unfortunately, lost out on a few points that maybe he could have done with getting. But Seb Job is more than up to the task of regaining those points, and I think we've got to look at those individual drivers, haven't we? It's less about the teams at this stage. I know it's a teams championship, but you've got to look at the drivers in this race. Who is willing, who's capable, of getting those results needed? Yeah, well, one man who is capable of getting results is that man, Max Benneker, who's currently in practice as well. All the drivers are going to get set to sort of initialize, maybe raise their hopes in order of ending on a high. It's been a fantastic week where it comes down to racing. We had a thrilling Drivers' Championship, and this is the perfect time to unleash plenty of cars around this track. 12 cars will be heading out in this final Group D stage, and it's going to be sensational as the drivers get set behind the wheel. The Porsche Commander team as well, calling upon their man to come up to the top as well. Joshua Rogers, who has been there and done it, coming off the back, though, of a hurt Drivers' Championship run, as we now see them make their way through. He's cruising through Malmedy as we speak, but that's only one corner you have to deal with. There's plenty of others. Tenacious corners as well. Here, Ewan. There are, and that was Jorn Jens as well. We were looking over the shoulder of, by the way, in the team's manager's box, just watching on. As I said, Porsche Commander Esports racing team are confirmed into tomorrow, as are RH Esports, but they are going to fight between themselves about who is going to win the day. There's Max Benneker, as you mentioned as well. He does actually have still something to do here. I don't think Miles will be in trouble, purely because Max is at the wheel at the moment. But and, of course, a top 6 would be enough for them to guarantee their spot in, no matter what everybody else does. So their fate is very much in their own hands. Yeah, I would say so. And 10 points ahead of Mercedes certainly will lend them very well, certainly heading into the latter stages. There's Graham Carroll, who will no doubt be facing that pressure cooker scenario, the same pressure cooker scenario that Team Redline and G2 Esports and Williams are facing. He'll have a full squad behind him, though, the likes of the experienced James Baldwin in his corner. And we'll have to wait and see whether he can convert that into a positive result. And how does he turn around the last result? Because, well, yes, he didn't qualify well at all. He was more than half a second away from pole. He didn't get a slowdown. It's just a poor lap. And then, to be fair, this is not a unique thing with him. He struggled to make moves in the race. That's a kind of Nürburgring theme that we've been having quite often. But if Carroll does that again, he qualifies low and then struggles to make his way through the order, Mercedes pick up 1 or 2 points, then they could be in serious trouble. Well, if it wasn't for that Yuri Toman situation, obviously that would bring them one step closer to Team Redline's deficit. Of course, that would have been a 2-point deficit instead of a 3. Now, while that doesn't seem like a lot, when it comes to these crunch time moments, every point counts. 1 point could be the difference maker between getting into the top 6 or finishing outside it. And what I can tell you now, folks at home, is that we are now about to get underway in qualifying. Of course, the countdown is on, and it's the last dying moments now for the drivers to get their practice in. There, of course, as well is the G2 as well engineer just watching on and just waiting to see whether their guys can pull out some major results as we now wait for the graphics to update. And very soon these drivers now be sending it through Spa to unleash their lap times. And certainly now the fear is going to be kicking in. Certainly the sweat, as you can see on the brow of that of Luke Bennett as well. Can't wait for this one.
It's getting serious, isn't it? Look how many people are crowded around one small computer monitor at the moment. It's remarkable. It's really fingernails biting time, I guess you could say. Luke Bennett stood up there. I was thinking about this earlier on, actually. For those drivers who were in Group A, who went off first, who drove 5 hours ago, it's got to be a horrible feeling for the rest of the afternoon, because you're just watching, helpless, seeing your teammates out there.
There's nothing more you can do at that stage. And obviously Luke Bennett, who is vastly in control, but you know what that means. It's qualifying. We are getting set now for the qualifying session that will decide where these drivers start on the grid. I tell you what, you can cut the tension with a knife. Max Benneker getting himself set to get underway. He's going to be the first driver to kick us off, heading down towards the source as well. Mouse, who currently see themselves in the top 3, 87 points to their name, and that is 10 points ahead of Mercedes, who are in 4th. Heading up through towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Of course, Eau Rouge as named as by the stream that runs underneath this portion of track as he now heads over the crest, leading up towards the Kemmel Straight before they hit Lacom.
Top 3, but still not safe for Miles. Max Benneker needing a decent lap here. Doesn't need to set the world on fire by any means, but he does need a decent lap just to make sure that Miles will be okay in this session. Through the first sector he comes. It's a 38.7. That is right on the money indeed. A little bit above it. It's a good start to the lap for the Audi driver.
Yeah, get hyped, everybody. 38.7 in the first sector is plumb what you need to certainly get yourself a decent lap time. Heading through Rivage now. Keep it tight to the inside. Second gear is now Benneker. Now looks to try and nestle himself higher and higher, and certainly try and tackle the top of the classification as well. Pole would be ideal, but heading through Jackie X curve.
Slow down!
Oh, dearie me. Extended far too much, Max Benneker. Now, these are the moments you need heading through towards the final race.
Not what Max Benneker needed at all. $100,000 went his way yesterday. Is he going to be the reason that Miles failed to make the team's final tomorrow? It's very, very unlikely, by the way. The percentage chance of them going out is probably way less than 10%, but right now, this is the worst possible thing that could have happened.
Well, I tell you what, shaking the head from Max Benneker says it all. I tell you what, maybe breaking under pressure as he now hits the gravel trap this time. Has his spirit been broken? Not the great Max Benneker, driver's champion. And now, again, a shake of the head. What's going on here, Max Benneker?
And now, in the last qualifying session, we were told by Jasmine, who was in the arena at the time, that he was really annoyed and agitated of the cameraman being in his eye line as he was qualifying. And I just wonder whether all the eyes on him, because he's gone first again, has the cameraman just distracted him a little bit. Obviously, it's the same for everyone. It's a live environment, but it may just have distracted Max Benneker.
It could well have done. Heads up now towards the line now to nestle in his time, and he certainly won't be necessarily too happy. A 2:15.939 is not where you need to be. But here comes Mikkel Gall, and 38.8 in the first sector, 59 in the second sector. A little bit of work to do, though.
Yeah, a little bit of work to do, unfortunately. It's probably going to be a mid-14 somewhere in that region for Heroic. They need an absolute miracle here and indeed can't make it to the team's final. Unfortunately, they can cement their place at least in 8th place, which would be a success to beat the likes of the Apex Racing team and some of the other new teams on the sim racing scene. It's a 14.5 from Gall as we see Sebastian Job into the final sector. He has a huge job with this qualifying lap.
Yeah, 38.8 in the first sector. That's just around a 10th over what he might prefer to be. Of course, that's the threshold. 59.7, though, looks good in the middle sector. Heads now out. This could go faster than Mikkel Gall, as we should expect. As Sebastian Job now, he does indeed go to the top, and very nearly 0.2 of a second faster. 1.5 tenths at the very least as well. 2:14.374. Not a bad lap.
It's not bad at all, but maybe could have been better. We'll see where the others are, because at this stage, the pressure has never been higher in the team's competition until this point. So what will they be able to deliver? Enzo Benito needs to do that right now for Team Redline. The team's champions from the spring season, at the moment in danger of being knocked out here in ESL R1, sponsored by Aramco, here at Gamers8. It's not a good lap from Enzo Benito. It's only a 14.5 pretty much.
Yeah, going, you know, I know it's only just over a 10th, and in normal days terms, that might be considered quite small, but certainly when it comes to racing at this level, it's quite vast. fast. Joshua Rogers, though, a 38.6, and that is stellar in that first sector as well. 59.8, though, in the next sector. Costs him maybe a tenth off the threshold of where he needs to be. Sector 3, though, if he gets it dialed in, this could be superb here from the wonder from down under. Joshua Rogers now across the line. Is it enough to go ahead of Job? It certainly is. Sets a 2:14.309, 65 thousandths quicker than the G2 Esports in behind.
Yeah, not quite better than his optimal lap time in his home setup like it was at the Nürburgring yesterday, but still a pretty decent lap time from Joshua Rogers. 2:14.3 is the new line in the sand for Jamie Fluke, who's next up to try and beat that one. Missed the major, of course, back in Munich a couple of months ago. Missed the top 12 yesterday as well, and unfortunately was just given too much to do for the Apex Racing team at the end of this event. It's a 14.7 from him as well, nearly half a second away.
Yeah, I think a middle sector that I think he's slightly disgusted with. We saw a shake of the head. He's not happy, but likely, though, Apex Racing team will certainly squander in delight, certainly the fact that Kevin Ellis Jr. delivered for them earlier on. Yuri Toman, who was scuppered with that penalty earlier on as well. 38.8 in the first sector is reasonable. 59.7. He would have needed 59.8, though, in the middle sector. 35.8. Sends him fifth fastest, Yuri Toman. Nevertheless, though, they aren't too concerned because they are on top.
They are indeed. Not much riding on this race for them and Yuri Toman, just a little bit of extra practice for him as Kaiki Oliveira also makes his way towards the line. Arguably leading the line for Furia here today, the only one in Riyadh to have done the entire season, the only Furia who made it to the Munich Major as well. He is very much their star man. Kaiki Oliveira makes his way to the timing line now, and it's a 14.5, excuse me, for him. Fifth place for the Brazilian. Yeah,
Graham Carroll on one of his most important laps in this series now. This could be decisive as he now heads out of Blanchimont. A 38.9 in the first sector is not ideal. 59.9 in the second sector certainly isn't either. This could be 5/10ths out of where he should be. Could be more than that now as he exits the bus stop chicane. Comes up towards the line. This is less than impressive here from Graham Carroll, and he's not going to enjoy that one. It is indeed plus 5/10ths outside of where he needs to be. 8th fastest for the Mercedes. That could be a problem.
That's exactly what happened at the Nürburgring as well, and if he can't overtake, just as was the case in race 7, Mercedes could be in real trouble of getting knocked out here. Of course, it all depends on what Daniel Pastor can do at the end of this session as well, as Gianmarco Fiducci makes his way to the final turns. He breaks a little bit late into the final chicane, and I'm afraid he's already tracking about half a second away from pole position right now. That's where he will remain in 9th place.
Yeah, certainly just over half a second outside, but behind Graham Carroll nonetheless. Ferris Stanley up next for the BMW team as well. They have had certainly a busy time of it. They did sort of lend their hopes into an effective run in the team's championship, but Stanley now making his way through the final two corners as well. 38.8 in that first sector isn't too bad. 59.9 though isn't ideal in that second sector. Across the line now, sector 3. Frustration there, kick it in for Ferris Stanley. 7th fastest, goes faster than Jamie Fluke though.
Yeah, and Graham Carroll as well, which he'll be pretty pleased to have accomplished, but didn't seem too pleased about it as he saw him go over the line there. This is the important lap, though, for Daniel Pastor, who was not far away in the first sector, but lost a bit through the middle now, and so it's probably going to be down in the midfield for him as well. Needs to be quite a way ahead of Mercedes, and probably needs to beat G2 or Redline here in this session, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen for him. 14.7, it's down in 9th place for Daniel Pastor.
Leaves him ahead of Graham Carroll though, and that could be decisive later on, but the man who would certainly go pole, it's him again. It's Joshua Rogers here for Porsche Coanda. He's only gone and done it. He will continue his rapid rise and ascension here in ESL R1. He is back once again after sealing the deal on a superb victory at the Nürburgring, and he is your ALJ fastest lap holder as well. A stellar run, certainly from him. Here is the starting grid for the race. It's Max Benneker on the back row of the grid, P12, a place where he's not used to. Certainly alongside him is Gianmarco Fiducci in 11th place. In 10th goes to that of Graham Carroll, with Daniel Pastor in 9th as well. P8, that goes to Jamie Fluke, with Ferris Stanley in 7th. Yuri Toman in 6th place, with Kaiki Oliveira in 5th. 4th place goes to Mikael Gal, with that of Enzo Benito in 3rd as well on the second row. 2nd place goes to Sebastian Joe, front row for him, a very important one for G2, as well as Joshua Rogers. He's back on pole yet again. That smiling face from down under is now back at the very front of the grid. And he is, as I said before, your ALJ fastest lap holder. It's Joshua Rogers, it's Porsche Coanda, back to their best yet again.
How many times has he won in LAN events now for ESL R1? He's just edging that percentage closer towards the 50%, isn't he? He had more than a third race wins last time around. Last time we checked it on a couple of days ago. Obviously more races happening, but yeah, what a performance from Josh Rogers once again. We've seen so many times the post hitter as well hold on to a race lead. Can Josh Rogers do that again? Yeah,
your ALJ fastest lap presented. And to that of Joshua Rogers, as you can see from the graphics right ahead of you, what a way to get yourself set for a run at Spa-Francorchamps. But there's a couple of names I want to look at here. G2 Esports run the bubble in 6th. Currently, as it stands, they're going through. But there is a very, very small points gap in between them and Williams right now. But they will breathe a sigh of relief that Daniel Pajtor qualified the way he did.
That is the man who can change things. Daniel Pajtor needs to gain places off of the start and continue to do that throughout the race as well, because G2 and Redline have qualified very well there in 2nd and 3rd. Job and Benito have left themselves with not a lot to do. I know I said that Beneca's slowdown there was pretty important. Well, he does need a lot of things to go wrong. That includes, of course, the likes of Williams finishing 1st or 2nd, which seems unlikely at this stage. So Mouse can breathe a sigh of relief, but it's Pajtor who has the work to do.
Yeah, as you can see from the realms of the rafters, the team bosses are getting set, ready for this one. The nerves are starting to kick in. The team's championship with the prize pool at stake. There's lots on the line. Daniel Pajtor knows it, as does G2's representative. He knows it too, Sebastian Job. He's going to be looking to try and fight, as is Enzo Benito, who qualified superbly in the face of danger. 2nd row of the grid for him too. And Mercedes Graham Carroll, though he can sort of have a little points buffer to his name, there's not a long way separating Williams and Mercedes, so he can't count his chickens just yet. As you can see, their practice session prior to the race has come to an end as they look now onwards and upwards. And it's not just at Arouge and Radeon, it's all about the championship as the cars get lined up onto the grid. I'm going to ask your thoughts here, Ewan. Got any tips?
Not really. I think, yeah, Pajtor's going to struggle, unfortunately, but let's see how it goes.
Here come the lights, folks. Get ready for this one. It's going to be a cracker. Here they come now, as you can hear the engines rev. 3 lights, 4 lights, and the 5th light. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Joshua Rogers with his signature superior start here in behind as well. You can see Sebastian Job covering off Enzo Benito. Then they come together anyway. As you can see now, they run out of turn 1. There's a bit of battling, some squabbling, a heroic nearly into the gravel trap. The RAG car belonging to Yuri Toman. Also looking to fly up through the order, but Rogers has checked out. He's taken the lead. Certainly though in 2nd place. You can see though that the battle could still yet rage on as Enzo Benito gives chase as well for 3rd place.
And Benito needs to get this under control very quickly because before he loses too many places. It's Kaiki Oliveira who dived in down the inside into turn 1 and got through. Now they're battling in towards Lecom. It's outside line for Enzo Benito. He brakes slightly later. He hangs it round the 1st part, which gives him the inside in the 2nd, but outside again.
It is getting so nip and tuck between the pair as they now make their way. Kaiki Oliveira trying to defend off as now we're seeing, what's that, sorry?
Graham Carroll's off the road and he's out the race by the looks of things. Graham Carroll looks to be out of this race.
Goodness me, Graham Carroll, that could be a costly error. 77 points now sees him dissipate to the back. A 0 point score. Should it remain like this? And take a look at Daniel Pajtor right in the back of this pile now. He needs to get to work. He has no choice.
However, Pajtor needs P6 to tie with Mercedes. He needs 5th to go ahead of them. And right now, he's lost 2 places off at the start. This is not good news for Daniel Pajtor. He needs the positions that are in front of him. Battling up in front is Mikko Karl and Jamie Fluke who are going side by side.
Yeah, 8 points is the differential, of course. That's what he needs, and certainly it's going to be a struggle all the way back in 11th place with work to do. But nevertheless, you've got 7 laps to do it in. Ahead of them here, Fiducci. Of course, he's going to try and make that of Pajtor's life very, very difficult. The phase driver, who's looking to make a name for himself as well, obviously currently sat in 10th place. They can't challenge, though, for the team's title. They are very much out of it here, but that still isn't going to stop him from trying to retain as best position as he can. Daniel Pajtor, though, is going to have a lovely run heading out of Blanchimont now. This is oh so important in the context of the qualifying into the team's championship. Runs around the outside. He knows how imperative it is, but a great run heading out of turn, well, certainly out of the final corner at turn 16. It's going to certainly gift him, shall I say, turn 18 and 19 as they run run down towards turn 1.
He's got the outside again for La Source, and the longer this battle goes on, the more time it's going to cost him. He's going to try and hang it round the outside here, is he? Well, he's tried to get the better exit, but I'm afraid it's not happened for him. Gianmarco Finucci has held on to the place in 10th at the moment, and Pastor is going to have to get the run up the hill and do this into Lecom.
Pajtor looking for a pass. He's going to need one on Gianmarco Finucci, who's certainly going to try and squeeze every ounce of his Porsche 911 to try and retain the place, or Porsche 992 I should say, as they now climb up the Kemmel Straight now, heading up towards Lake Com. Side by side they go. Daniel Pajtor looking for the pass that will ascend him higher up the order. Points mean prizes. He knows that. They come through the right and left. A brilliant move, a much needed move, but now he needs Mikkel Gall.
Now he needs 4 more. Only 10th place at the moment, and he's only gaining 2 of the 8 points that he needs to. The good thing ahead of him is there's fighting going on between Jamie Fluke, Max Benneker and Mikkel Gall as well. So if those guys can continue to do that, then right now Daniel Pastor would have a chance, but he still needs 4 more moves.
He does. He's literally sitting tight. The gap though is quite extensive. Needs to try and retain, or certainly try and rein in that 7/10 of a second gap, but he's down to 6/10. He is trying to climb and clamber. Mikkel Gall right ahead of him. Max Benneker, that's going to be a very different task altogether as they head through the Lafanier chicane here this time. They cruise now through this section now before leading down towards Campus and Stavolo. Jamie Fluke still leading through Max Benneker, as we now see Mikkel Gall right on board with him now. As you can see from the left-hand camera, he has got a full view of Daniel Pajtor, and he is going to work. I've got to give credit to Pajtor. He knows what's at stake. He's going for this.
Well, he can't do anything else at this point. He's got to put it all on the line, just lay it out there. If it means ending with a bash and a crash at the end, then that's fine, because he's got to give it absolutely everything now to get Williams Esports into that final tomorrow. At the moment, they're missing out by 6 points, and Mercedes are going to hang on despite not even completing half a lap of this race.
Absolutely stellar scenes indeed, and certainly I can imagine all of you watching at home, I'm sure, are trying to rally that to the Williams Esports driver on. What a stellar turnaround this could be if they could launch themselves into that top 6. Coming into this round, certainly this race, 7th place with 71 points to their boot as well. Maximilian Benneker, he's also got a squabble on as well. Jamie Fluke ahead of him for Apex Racing Team. They, of course, celebrating that of Kevin Ellis Jr.'s win earlier on tonight, as now Benneker will look to climb Eau Rouge and Radion this time as well. Up they go, in tandem. Nothing separates them. The gap thinner than a fly's eyelash as they curl to hightail over the curbs now. The Kemmel Straight comes up next, and Benneker unleashing the pace now in his very own Audi R8 LMS GT3. Goes to the outside, heading in towards Lake Com. You can see the heroic in behind too. Jamie Fluke might not have any answer here for Benneker, but does indeed try to wrestle him through. Benneker with an almighty squeeze as they head now in towards Malmedy. Wheel to wheel they remain though. Spoiler to spoiler, he's gone ahead of him. Certainly a stellar move from Benneker into Mikkel Gall. Under threat here from the Williams in behind too as they come through Rivage. They run still wheel to wheel, but can't usurp him. Jamie Fluke, he is no fluke. He retains P8.
Nice pass from the Drivers' Champion though into 7th place for Max Benneker there. Jamie Fluke hangs on to 8th place at least, which is difficult to do when you get one driver through. It can very easily turn into a bit of a freight train down the inside, but thankfully it didn't for Jamie Fluke and Apex Racing Team on that occasion. Daniel Pastor actually was challenged by Gianmarco Finucci on the way in towards Lecom as well, so that wasn't great news for Williams. He still needs those 4 places, and at the moment I can't see where they're going to come from.
No, the gap between Benneker and Stanley now stretches to 1.5 seconds alone, and if you factor in the other delta times crawling downwards, Daniel Pastor's job has been made that much more difficult. And naturally, this is ESL R1. This is a fight. These are the best drivers in the world fighting over the biggest prize in the world. Naturally, now we see them make their way through towards the final sector now. Blanchimont comes up next. Max Benneker, who is now usurped that of Jamie Fluke. It was a stellar overtake as well, gave it everything and certainly committed, and pulled it off heading through Malmedy as well. Give Fluke credit though, did manage to defend against the approach from Mikkel Gall, who's obviously more concerned about that of Daniel Pajtor. While he doesn't have a dog in this fight, he's still very much aware that his pride's on the line, and that is exactly what these drivers care about too. It's not just a question about money. These are passionate industry professionals. They want the best possible, and this man's no different either. Yuri Toman for RHE, and that's why they're top of the standings.
He could be the only one to change things over here, because if he gets into a real battle with Team Redline, then maybe something strange could happen here to Enzo Benito. But RNG Esports certainly won't be hoping for that. They'll just look for the moves themselves. Inside, kind of through the middle for Enzo Benito as he chases the slipstream of Kaki Oliveira, who now weaves around to give Toman a little bit of that. Up in towards Lecom. Benito lifts off, lets Toman through. He knows it's not a battle he needs to be a part of.
Those of you with good memories will remember that RHE came unstuck at the hands of Team Redline in terms of the Team Championship back in the Spring Series. It's all set to turn around as Toman takes 4th place, coming off the back of losing some points earlier on, is now once again is Pajtor under pressure, because enter Gianmarco Finucci, who's going to break the hearts of many, heading through Rivage. He's only got his nose in front. The face car now fully in front as they head through now round Jackie Expend. It's Finucci in 10th.
FaZe back into 10th place. Unfortunately, they were out long ago, but it's really putting paid to Williams Esports' chances of getting into that top 6. It's a place lost instead of a place gained for Daniel Pajtor, and this task is only getting more and more difficult with now 5 overtakes needed in the 3.5 laps remaining.
Yeah, it's getting tight, it's getting nip and tuck, but naturally I think the writing's on the wall for Williams. Pajtor, who has lost crucial places. He, of course, losing out to Gianmarco Finucci, who is now in 10th place, just over a second in behind, 1.1 to be exact, nearly 1.2 in behind Mikkel Gall. As we now see Pajtor now as he looks straight forward, a little mistake as well, heading through Stavolo. Corbet Paul Frere coming up next as well, but you can just see the gap now starting to curtail out slightly, as there's Finucci, the crux of that pass, and certainly a tremendous effort from him too to fight back. Of course, has joined the FaZe team and become part of its existence here in this championship. Of course, what a sensational event it has surely been as well. And we've got to give credit to, I suppose, to Enzo Benito. A cool, controlled method. He knows if he stays within the top 6, he's safe anyway. As long as he stays ahead of the Williams, he's safe. And bear in mind, he's got a buffer of cars in behind too, if you factor in Mercedes themselves.
He's got a very big buffer at the moment as Enzo Benito, partly because of Mercedes. To overhaul Mercedes, he doesn't need very much. It's more Williams that need quite a lot to overhaul Mercedes at this stage. So at the moment, everybody is relatively relaxed, and it's panic stations for Williams, who unfortunately look like they're on their way out. As we look at Josh Rogers once again. Is he on his way to another race win here? Nobody's won both of their races here today, by the way. I know it happened twice back on, what was it, Thursday? It happened twice on Thursday. It hasn't happened yet today.
Yeah, no, but we got Kaki Oliveira and Yuri Toman. Toman once again lifting himself high and defending against the approach from Kaki Oliveira as well. Heading through Malmedy they go. Heading down now towards Rivage yet again. Oliveira, a real sensation in this race as well, has been part of the certainly part of the higher echelons for Furia, has given them many a grand result, and a huge character as well if you ever meet him. We do love him here as well, here at ESL R1, and back again as he now makes his way a little wide there from Toman as well. Do you have to wonder whether there might be an off-track gifted to him after that one, as they now head through Puon. Further back, Benito, who's watching this all unfold, doesn't have to worry too much. He has Ferris Stanley in behind, Max Benneker in 7th. I mean, Mouse, of course, don't have anything to worry about. Remember, 10 points coming into this round, or certainly this race, ahead of that of G2 Esports earlier on. Well, G2, incidentally, on the rise. The points being updated as we speak. Of course, the Williams team 71 and still need 6 to challenge that of Mercedes up at the sharp end. Of course, Graham Carroll now outside the points equation, but surely his team will proceed onwards, as we're now seeing. And this is Mikkel Gall making his way through Corbet Paul Frere. Seems now things have settled slightly here now at this stage, Ewan, but naturally with a few laps still to go, we could still be in with a tasty fight here. As now we're seeing, well, the Williams is coming back.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's increasingly just a battle for 10th place now for Daniel Pajtor to get back in front of Gianfranco Finucci.
Slow down, is it?
Gianmarco Finucci, I've got it wrong again. It looks like it. Finucci just pulls off to the left-hand side again and drops back to 11th. So Pajtor's back into 10th again, but still a long way away from the top.
We're getting word that there's a 10-second penalty being delivered as well, so the slowdown coming into effect as well, and he's given the place now to Daniel Pajtor, heading through now La Source once again, this time on lap 6 of 7, the penultimate lap, and there's the confirmation on the top right hand of your screen, out of bounds, and he has been penalised for that.
At least he's completed more than 4 laps today. He had a disaster on, at least he had a disaster on Thursday where he didn't complete either of the races, yeah, I think he actually didn't start one of them as well.
He's had his tough times, hasn't he?
He has, and so he's at least raced today, but unfortunately it's going to be the end of FaZe's time at ESL R1 here in the Teams Championship.
Yeah, nearly 5 11 thousandths in behind that of Daniel Pajtor in 10th place. In fact, bang on 5.11 at that point as they make their way through towards that section now. They tie up yet again as now Jamie Fluke now comes to rumble here this time, making his way around Mikel Gala, going out wide as they head through towards Rivage. But Jamie Fluke hanging on for dear life, holds on to 8th place. Mikel Gala still threatening him though as they head through Jackie X.
Yeah, this is more of a fight for show between these two, unfortunately, at this stage. To be fair, they're not too far away from each other on points, but this battle doesn't actually affect anything, unfortunately. They were just missing that last 5% or so, these two teams today, unfortunately. Apex Racing Team have shown promise somewhat throughout the season, but it's not quite been going well for them today, or well enough anyway. And Heroic have been there or thereabouts, especially towards the end of the season, as they really got to grips with that Porsche, with the likes of Tommy Usgaard especially, who did make it to the major in Munich. However, it wasn't enough for Heroic quite today, but you know, they're developing, and maybe in the future it will be they will be able to make it.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, time certainly does heal many and certainly grow many a team as well. We've seen it, of course, with the likes of Team Redline, who have become such peripheral figures in the world of sim racing. They have some of the best drivers in the world. Mouse, who have entered the fold, have certainly started strongly, recruiting the likes of Yuri Kazor, Max Benneker, of course, who has gone on to become the drivers' champion as well. But the final lap now beckons, and it's Joshua Rogers who takes us through. Sebastian Joba, we're currently seeing on our screen, 2nd place as well for G2 Esports. This will, I'm sure, confirm their place. Currently, as we see it, this will maintain a 4th place for that of Sebastian Job and G2 Esports as they come out of La Source now, heading up through towards Eau Rouge and Radion. And keenly enough, this will put them ahead of Team Redline as well.
Yeah, what a point, what a race and a performance from the young driver, by the way. Sebastian Job has shown his worth in this team, and he's going to be so crucial tomorrow. If they are to get up there and challenge for that title, he needs to have a good day, and so do the others. In fact, Tormala and Price did their bit. Rasmussen a little bit below that. He'll need to pick up his game as well. But it's Job who saved them as Gala just goes to the outside of Fluke and doesn't quite make it this time.
Yeah, getting closer as they now make their way through Malmedy. A delicious switchback though from Mikel.
Oh,
no! Goodness me, a tie-up heading through Malmedy, and he's been caught out. Daniel Pashtor very nearly collected. This does gain him a place, but I think it's too little too late.
It's far too little too late, unfortunately. That's 1 extra point, and he gets a bit closer to Mercedes, but nowhere near enough. He needs still, what, another 3 at this stage to tie it up with Mercedes. That's not going to happen unless there's a monumental explosion in that fight for 4th place that's going on.
Well, you never know, of course. Stranger things have happened in the world of motorsport, certainly the realms of sim racing. ESL R1, though, delivering a clinic. This man delivering a clinic too. Joshua Rogers, he may have lost out on the Drivers' Championship after a scuffle heading around the Nürburgring, but he returned there, didn't he, folks, in our earlier race to go from pole to victor. Yet again, a position he is oh so used to, and now as he makes his way out of Corbeil-Paul Frere, heading down through towards Blanchimont now very shortly, the in-swinger, the left-hander, the fast-paced section of circuit where you can just keep your foot to the floor. He will, of course, round it now and speed through down towards the bus stop chicane. He'll have to peak his braking point, but I'm sure he'll do this in great style as now Joshua Rogers, for the final time, enters the right. He'll enter the left. Turn 19 beckons. It beckons this man to a 2nd pole and a 2nd race win here in this event. The team's championship alive and kicking for Porsche Coanda. Joshua Rogers, a 2nd win in conjunction. The only man to do it, and what a way to do it too.
They put their name down as one of the favourites tomorrow as Porsche Coanda Esports look to get that $250,000 available tomorrow for the team's championship, and that man right there is going to be so crucial for it. Josh Rogers, the only driver today to have won 2 out of 2.
He could be a myth, but he is a legend anyway. He has just taken a 2nd successive win. Joshua Rogers, the righteous man at Porsche Coanda. He is your victor, and he did it in style, didn't he? Checked out right from the start. Nothing phases him. He's come back after that terrible moment yesterday where he became unseated in the battle for the teams in the Drivers' Championship, and he's back for the teams. He's going to help his teammates as well at Porsche Coanda. Big Mac Backham, as well as the rest of his team. Dane Warren joins in as well. All of them. Fantastic to have them here as well on board with this, and nevertheless they'll all celebrate this one tonight, but tomorrow it's a big day.
It certainly is. Josh Rogers may be a myth. He's certainly not a human, the way he drives. I can tell you that. Absolutely unbelievable. It's a lot of said overnight. He deserved to win that Drivers' Championship last night. Obviously, things happened, and they always do. He still won $75,000 at the end of the day, but he wants that $250,000 for Porsche Coanda Esports team, and those are the 4 drivers that will set out to do it as well. What a performance from Josh Rogers. What a chance they have tomorrow.
Yeah, there may be money at the equation, but wins mean everything. Team Redline as well, Enzo Benito congratulated by his teammates. A few moments of concern, of course, earlier on. Nina joining them as well, of course, head of esports at Porsche, and joins in the celebrations as well. The team all together, and they are absolutely beaming, and for righteous reasons too. They deserve it, and credit to them, and I'm sure Barney will be standing by as well. And incidentally, Sebastian Job, I think he could be pleased too, because G2 Esports second, which garners them 4th in the current standing.
Yeah, who knows what they can do tomorrow with 4th in today's standings. You know, they maybe feel, you know, we could have beaten Miles today or whatever. Strange things can happen, so you never know.
Well, we're going to head across to Barney now very shortly. He's going to be standing by with an interview.
Sebastian Job, dude. G2 lives to fight another day. Going through to the final tomorrow, congratulations, what an amazing race. You can now breathe a sigh of relief. How you feeling?
Yeah, like you said, relieved. Wasn't the ideal situation going in, you know, we were really up against it. We knew we had to score big, but I was confident in how I felt on the rig today. It was a lot better than 2 days ago, where I really wasn't very comfortable, so I've made some improvements there. Yeah, it kind of showed in the pace and consistency. Not super happy with the Spa race because I couldn't keep up. Just tires fell off big time, but got what we needed to do, so I'm happy with that.
صحيح، سألنا المتسابق معنا سباستيان في هذا السباق كيف كان بالنسبة لك، لأن من جد أنقذ فريقه وقدروا يتأهلون معنا فريق جي2 والحين معنا في النهائيات. قلنا له كيف شعورك الحين؟ هل أنت مرتاح؟ قال أكيد مرتاح زي ما ذكرت، وحتى برضو بالنسبة له السباق يعني كان أداء جدا ممتاز، وحتى برضو متحسن عن اليومين الماضية. قال اليومين الماضية ما كان مرة مرتاح، وكان برضو في عنده شوية أخطاء فتواكب فيها، وحتى برضو اليوم جاينا بشكل أفضل في آخر سباق، وفي نفس الوقت أن حتى برضو قدر أن يسيطر بشكل أفضل على الكفرات وعلى كل شيء حوله.
Sebastian, there's something to be said coming in, you know, it's Group D, being the last driver up for your team, and coming into this is, you know, it's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, especially coming into the final race when you're sat in 6th, you're on that threshold. Did you feel a lot of additional pressure being chosen to be Group D? Did you choose it, or, you know, what was the kind of situation behind that?
Honestly, I felt really calm. I quite liked the pressure, but today I didn't feel any pressure. I kind of knew we were going to be through. I just felt way more comfortable. I knew that I had the pace to do it, and in my mind it was never really in doubt. Whereas 2 days ago I wasn't comfortable. There was doubt in my mind, and I knew I wasn't certain. But today there was no doubt.
صحيح، الثقة جدا مهمة في هذا السباق عشان يقدروا يضمنون التأهل. فسألنا المتسابق معنا سباستيان إن على أي أساس تم اختياره أن يكون آخر متسابق في المجموعة، لأن زي ما أنتم عارفين هذا سباق الفرق. فهل كان عليك برضه ضغط جدا كبير في السباق الأخير؟ أنت الحاسم بالنسبة لفريقك. قال بكل صراحة ما حسيت مرة بالضغط الكثير، خصوصا أن تحسن الوضع عن اليومين الماضية. فاليوم أنا جاي بشكل أريح مع الضغوطات، وأنا عارف برضه يقول أنه كان واثق جدا من تأهلهم بغض النظر عن الظروف اللي تصير، وسووا اللي عليه وما قصر، ومن جد فريق تأهل معنا إلى النهائيات.
Well, the confidence is building, and just at the right time, it would seem. So congratulations on such a fantastic race. And we're really looking forward to seeing what you guys bring into the Team Championship finals tomorrow. But for now, that is it from us over here on the main stage for today. All of our qualifying races are done. We've had such an amazing time over here. And thank you so much to everyone who's taken part, to all the races, to all of the talent and production. You've been absolutely fantastic. And tomorrow, we'll have the Team Championship finals with the top 6 teams coming here onto the main stage and battling for supremacy here at ESL R1 at Gamers8. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Well, if you want to say congratulations in Arabic, it's actually مبروك. So مبروك for you.
مبروك.
على التأهل معنا إلى النهائيات. لكن الحين أعزائنا المشاهدين خلينا ننتقل إلى الاستوديو التحليلي، نشوف تفاصيل هذه المباراة كيف كانت معنا، وهذا كانت نهائيات اليوم. لكن بكرة هي النهائيات الحقيقية، بكرة راح نعرف أبطال هذا السباق. خليكم معنا نروح للاستوديو، وبكرة نرجع لكم باقي السباقات.